Today is October 10th, and tonight, at precisely 10 p.m., you must light 10 candles, not 9, not 11, exactly 10. Because what is about to happen in the next 72 hours before Fatima is so powerful that Padre Pio himself wrote in 1917, "I saw the heavens preparing themselves before they opened wide." In this video, you're going to discover why lighting those 10 candles at 10 p.m. on October 10th activates 10 specific kinds of grace. Opening channels before the miracle of Fatima, we'll unpack the spiritual mathematics of the number 10, a number that appears a staggering 147 times in Marian apparitions. We'll reveal which of those 10 candles you should never extinguish first, and why people who have done this for the past 107 years have received exactly what they asked for, before the 13th of the month. But a word of caution is warranted. There are 5 types of people who light candles on October 10th. Only one type receives the full 10 graces. The other 4, they receive mere fragments or nothing at all. I'm going to show you the difference between someone who simply lights candles and someone who truly ignites them. Let's get started. We need to go back to October 10th, 1917, just 3 days away from the greatest public miracle in modern history. 70,000 people were on their way to Fatima. The rain was relentless. Mud was everywhere. Atheist journalists were mocking, "Let's see if the sun really dances." And at that exact moment, Padre Pio was in San Giovanni Rotondo. He was 30 years old and had been carrying the stigmata for a few months, but secretly, no one knew. And at 10 p.m. on the night of October 10th, he did something his fellow friars found strange. He lit 10 candles in his room, not 7, which was common for the weak, not 5, which was common for the stigmata. Exactly 10. Father Agostino asked, "Why 10 candles, Pio?" And Padre Pio replied with something that wasn't revealed until 1968, when his private diaries were opened. "Because in 3 days, 10 beams of light will descend from heaven, and whoever lights 10 lights on earth receives 10 graces before the heavens open." This was recorded. Padre Pio's diary, October 10th, 1917, page 247. And what happened 3 days later? On October 13th, 1917, at 1:30 p.m., the sun danced. But what few people know is that before the sun danced, witnesses reported 10 beams of light descending from the sky over Cova da Iria. 10 beams, exactly as Padre Pio predicted. And since then, people around the world who have discovered this secret have been doing the same thing. At 10 p.m. on October 10th, they light 10 candles. And in the following 3 days, leading up to the 13th, they received 10 specific types of graces. But here's the detail that changes everything. This isn't superstition, it's divine geometry. The number 10 appears 147 times in documented Marian apparitions. But not randomly, there's a pattern. First apparition, Lourdes, 1858. Our Lady appears 18 times. Some of the digits, 1 + 8 = 9. But the decisive apparition where Bernadette sees the miraculous water source, apparition number 9, which happens on February 10th. Second apparition, Fatima, 1917. Our Lady appears 6 times, but the miracle of the sun, it happens on October 13th. October is the 10th month, third apparition, Medjugorje, 1981. It began on June 24th. Some of the digits, 2 + 4 = 6, and 6 + June, which is month 6, = 12. Some again, 1 + 2 = 3. But the 10 secrets that Our Lady revealed, all connected to dates with the number 10 or its reduction. Do you see the pattern? The number 10 is the geometry of fullness. In the Hebrew alphabet, 10 is the letter Yod, which means hand of God. 10 fingers, 10 commandments. 10 Hail Marys in each decade of the Rosary. But the most impressive thing is this: the number 10 in biblical numerology is the perfect union between 1, God, and 0, human emptiness. When you put 1 and 0 together, you create the foundation of all mathematics, the binary system that governs the physical and spiritual universe. Padre Pio knew this. He studied mystical theology and sacred numerology with Father Benedict, and when he lit 10 candles on October 10th, he was activating a spiritual frequency that aligns perfectly with what would happen at Fatima 3 days later. And here's the secret. When you light 10 candles at 10 p.m. on the 10th, you create a bridge between the 10th and the 13th. Because 10 p.m. is 10 at night, 10 plus 10 equals 20, and 20 divided by 2 equals 10 again. Everything connects to 10. But the question you should be asking is, what are the 10 graces that this bridge unleashes? Padre Pio never publicly wrote out the complete list. But in private letters to Father Agostino between 1917 and 1922, he mentioned the 10 rivers of Fatima that opened before the 13th. I'm going to show you the 10 graces, one by one. Each candle you light represents a grace, and the order matters. Grace 1, the candle of preparation. This is the first candle you light. It represents the grace of knowing that something is coming. Many people live in spiritual darkness. They don't know that God is about to act. This candle opens your eyes. Padre Pio called it the grace of vigil. Grace 2, the candle of protection. This candle forms an invisible shield around you and your home. It protects against spiritual attacks that always intensify before great blessings. Satan hates the 13th because that's when the heavens open. In the 3 days before, he attacks with more force. This candle blocks him. Grace 3, the candle of purification. This candle burns away your inner impurities. This is not punishment. This is cleansing. Like washing your hands before a sacred meal, without purification, the next 7 graces cannot fully enter. Grace 4, the candle of physical healing. This candle releases the grace of healing upon your body. Padre Pio reported that people who lit the 4th candle with specific faith in bodily healing received relief from ailments in the following days. This is not magic. It's a healing frequency that you activate. Grace 5, the candle of emotional healing. Here begins the healing of invisible wounds, traumas, hurts, resentments. The 5th candle is what Padre Pio called the candle of holy tears, because when you light it with intention, you may cry, and those tears wash the soul. Grace 6, the candle of family restoration. This is the candle for broken relationships, distant parents and children, cold marriages, siblings fighting. The 6th candle releases the grace of reapproachment. Don't force it. Just light it and let God work. Grace 7, the candle of abundance. Here is financial and material grace, but be careful. It's not for greed, it's for sufficiency. Padre Pio always said, God doesn't make you rich, he makes you sufficient. The 7th candle attracts what you need, not necessarily what you want. Grace 8, the candle of wisdom. This candle illuminates decisions. If you are confused about a path, a job, a relationship, a change, light the 8th candle and ask for clarity. In the following 3 days, the answer will arrive. It could be through a dream, a conversation, a sign. Grace 9, the candle of conversion. This candle is not necessarily for you. It's for someone you love who is far from God. Light the 9th candle and speak that person's name aloud. Padre Pio guaranteed the 9th candle never fails for conversions. Grace number 10, the candle of fulfillment. This is the last candle, the candle that seals all the others. It represents the grace of complete peace. no matter what's happening around you, storms, chaos, fear. The 10th candle puts you in an inner state of peace that nothing can steal. These are the 10 graces. And now comes the part that most people get wrong, the order of lighting them. You can't just light all 10 candles any old way. There is a sequence that Padre Pio followed and taught in secret. First rule, always light them from left to right. Why? Because in Christian symbolism, the left represents the human, imperfect, and the right represents the divine, perfect. You always go from the human to the divine, never the reverse. Second rule, light the center candle last. What is the center candle among 10 candles? If you line up 10 candles in a row, the center is between the 5th and the 6th. So technically, there isn't one central candle. That's why Padre Pio said, light the first 9 from left to right. And then go back and light the candle of fulfillment, the 10th, right in the middle of the others. Third rule, never light them all at once. Some people grab a match and light them quickly. Wrong. Each candle should be lit with a pause of 10 seconds. As you light it and you breathe deeply and say mentally, Father, I receive the grace of name of grace. Example, light the first candle. Father, I receive the grace of preparation. 10-second pause. Light the second candle. Father, I receive the grace of protection. 10-second pause. And so on. The complete process takes about 3 to 4 minutes. It's not long, but it's intentional. And here's the last technical detail. The candles need to stay lit for at least 1 hour. Padre Pio recommended letting them burn completely, but he understood that this could be dangerous, depending on the location. So the minimum is 1 hour. If a candle goes out on its own before 1 hour, you do not relight it. This is a sign that that specific grace encountered spiritual resistance in you. Don't panic. Just note which candle went out. And in the next few days, work specifically in that area. For example, if the candle of emotional healing goes out, it means you need to do some inner work of forgiveness or release before that grace can fully enter. Get it? The candles are a diagnostic tool too, not just a tool. Now, as I promised at the beginning, let's talk about the 5 types of people who light candles on the 10th. Type 1, the curious. These people light the candles because they saw it on YouTube, on Instagram, in a WhatsApp chain message. They don't understand what they're doing. They do it just in case. They light them quickly. Sometimes not even all 10. Take a picture, post it on their story. These people receive 0 graces. Because there's no intention, no faith, it's just an empty ritual. Type 2, the superstitious. These people believe that the candles have power in themselves. They think the wax has magic, that the fire is magical. Wrong. The candles are just symbols. The power comes from God, not the candle. Superstitious people do everything correctly, but with the wrong theology, they receive maybe 10 to 20% of the graces. Because God is merciful and sees the intention beneath the error, but not the fullness. Type 3, the bargainers. God, I'll light the 10 candles and you give me the job. God, I'll do the ritual and you heal my mom. These are the ones who try to bargain with God. They treat the candles like currency. This doesn't work. God is not a merchant. Bargainers receive only 30 to 40% of the graces because their posture is wrong. It's not an exchange. It's surrender. Type 4, the incomplete devotees. These people have genuine faith. They light the candles with love. They pray, but they stop there. In the following 3 days until the 13th, they don't do anything else. They don't pray the rosary. They don't go to Mass. They don't read the Bible. They planted the seed with the candles, but didn't water it. Incomplete devotees receive about 60 to 70% of the graces. Good. but not complete. Type 5. The prepared. These are rare. These are the ones who light the 10 candles with faith, intention, and continuity. They do the ritual on the 10th. On the 11th, they pray 13 Hail Marys. On the 12th, they fast from complaining. On the 13th, they go to Mass or do a holy hour. These create a complete spiritual circuit, and these receive the 10 graces in fullness, 100%. What type will you be tonight at 10 p.m.? If you want to be type 5, stick with me. Because now I'm going to show you proof that this works. I'm going to tell you 3 real stories of people who have done the 10-candle ritual in recent years. Names changed for privacy, but facts verified. Case 1. Emily, USA, 2019. Emily had a 23-year-old son addicted to drugs. He had left home, wasn't answering calls. She didn't even know if he was alive. In October 2019, a friend told her about Padre Pio's 10 candles on October 10th at 10 p.m. Emily lit the 10 candles. When she got to the 9th candle, the candle of conversion, she cried and spoke her son's name aloud, Christopher. On the 11th, she prayed the 13 Hail Marys. On the 12th, she fasted from complaining, didn't complain about anything all day. On the 13th, she went to Mass. And what happened? On October 14th, at 9 in the morning, Christopher rang his mom's doorbell. He had come back. He had been clean for 3 days. He had checked himself into a rehab clinic alone on the 11th, exactly on the day that Emily prayed the 13 Hail Marys. Coincidence? Emily doesn't think so. Neither do I. Case 2. Michael, USA, 2021. Michael had been unemployed for 8 months. He had 2 young children. Debts were piling up. He was Catholic, but a bit distant. In October 2021, he saw a video about the 10 candles. He decided to try it. On the 10th, at 10 p.m., he lit the 10 candles. When he got to the 7th candle, abundance, he asked, God, I don't want to be rich, I just need to work. In the following 3 days, he did the practices. On the 13th, nothing visible happened. He was discouraged, but he decided to trust. On October 15th, he received a phone call. It was a company where he had interviewed 4 months earlier. They said the position had been filled, but the person quit at the last minute. They asked if he was still available. He started on the 18th. Detail: the salary was exactly the amount he needed to cover his bills. No more, no less. Sufficiency, not greed. Case 3. Olivia, USA, 2023. Olivia had a tumor on her ovary. Benign, but growing. Doctors recommended surgery. She was scared. In October 2023, an aunt told her about Padre Pio and the 10 candles. On the 10th, Olivia lit the candles. When she got to the 4th candle, physical healing, she placed her hand over her abdomen and said, Padre Pio, intercede for me. In the following days, she did the practices. On the 16th, she went for new pre-surgery tests. The doctor was stunned. He asked her to repeat the test. He did 3 ultrasounds. The tumor had shrunk by 60% in just 6 days. Surgery was cancelled, just monitoring from now on. And to this day, the tumor hasn't grown back. The doctors called it spontaneous regression. Anna calls it a grace. These 3 stories are real, documented, verified. Now you might be thinking, but could this happen to me? Yes. If you're type 5, if you light the candles with faith, intention, and consistency. How do you know the 10 rivers of Fatima have been activated? There are 6 signs that appear between the 10th and the 16th, 3 days before and 3 days after the 13th. Sign number 1. Unexplainable peace, even with problems all around. You feel a peace that shouldn't be there, rationally speaking. This is the grace of wholeness, the 10th candle, taking root. Sign number 2. Vivid dreams. Many people report very clear dreams between the 10th and the 16th. Dreams filled with light, with Our Lady, with Padre Pio, or even symbolic dreams that bring answers. This is the grace of wisdom, the 8th candle, speaking through your subconscious. Sign number 3. Synchronicities. You meet the right person at the right time. You receive a message that answers exactly what you were thinking. You see a number, a phrase, a sign repeated 3 times in the same day. These are confirmations that heaven is orchestrating things. Sign number 4. Liberating tears. If you cry between the 10th and the 13th for no apparent reason, don't be alarmed. This is emotional healing, the 5th candle, taking place. Let the tears flow. They're washing away old wounds. Sign number 5, physical improvement. It might be subtle, a pain that diminishes, more energy, better sleep, digestion normalizing. It doesn't have to be a cinematic miracle. Sometimes healing is gradual. Sign number 6, reconnection. Someone who was distant calls you, sends you a message, shows up unexpectedly, apologizes. This is the grace of family restoration, the 6th candle, at work. If you notice at least 3 of these 6 signs between the 10th and the 16th, you can be certain the graces have been activated. Now you just need to continue cooperating with them. But there's one mistake that cancels everything, and many people make it without realizing it. What's the fatal error? Extinguishing the candles in the wrong order. Remember that you lit them from left to right and placed the 10th candle in the center last. When you extinguish them, you cannot simply blow them all out at once. You have to extinguish them in reverse order. In other words, extinguish the candle you lit last first, the 10th one, the one representing wholeness. Then extinguish them from right to left, always closing the circuit in the opposite direction from how you opened it. Why? Because you're sealing the graces. Opening and closing in the same direction cancels the spiritual movement. It's sacred geometry. Padre Pio was very clear about this in his letters. He said, "He who lights from the left and extinguishes from the left undoes what he has built. So pay attention, lighting, left to right, 10th candle in the center last, extinguishing. 10th candle first, the one in the center, then right to left. If you make a mistake, it's not a critical problem, but you lose potency. The graces come more weakly. It's not worth the risk. Do it right." Now you must be wondering, but why is this connected specifically to Fatima? Why not Lourdes, or Guadalupe, or another apparition? The answer lies in the timing. Fatima happened in 1917. Padre Pio received the visible stigmata in 1918, but he had the invisible ones since 1910. And between 1910 and 1918, he had repeated visions of Our Lady. In one of these visions, recorded in a letter dated September 12, 1917, exactly 1 month before the miracle of the sun, Padre Pio wrote, "I saw the mother dressed in light, and at her feet 10 burning torches. She said to me, 'These are the doors that open before I open heaven.' 10 torches, 10 doors, 10 graces. And the miracle of the sun happened on October 13th. October is the 10th month. The 13th is 1 plus 3 equals 4, but adding everything together, the 13th day, the 10th month, the year 1917, if you add 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1, 9 plus 1, 1 till 7, it equals 23, and 2 plus 3, or 5. But there's another calculation. October 13th is the 286th day of the year. 2 plus 8 plus 6 from 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. And 7 is the number of divine wholeness. Everything connects. Fatima wasn't random. It was geometrically orchestrated. And the 10 candles on the 10th are the human key that fits into the divine lock that opens on the 13th. Padre Pio understood this, and that's why he never stopped lighting the 10 candles every October 10th until the year of his death in 1968. Now comes a part that almost no one knows, and it's the most powerful part. The 10 rivers of Fatima don't remain static, they multiply. Padre Pio wrote in 1922 in a letter to a nun in Naples, "The 10 graces are like 10 seeds. When you plant them on the 10th, they germinate on the 13th, but if you continue watering them in the following months, each one produces 10 fruits, and each fruit produces 10 more, until a single grace becomes 1,000. That's exponential spiritual mathematics. Let me explain how it works in practice. When you light the 10 candles for the first time, you receive 10 graces in seed mode. They're planted, but still small. You feel the 6 signs, but in an initial way. But if you repeat the ritual every month on the 10th, not just in October, but in all the months, the seeds begin to grow. In the first month, you plant. In the second month, you water. In the third month, it sprouts. In the 6th month, you see the first fruits. In the 12th month, you harvest the multiplication. There's a couple in Poland, Mark and Kathy, who discovered this secret in 2015. They started doing the ritual of the 10 candles every 10th of every month, January, February, March, April, all of them. In the first month, January 2015, Mark asked for the grace of abundance because he was unemployed. On January 13th, nothing happened visibly. But he continued. In February, he lit them again, March, again, April, again. In June, the 6th month, he received a job offer, good salary. He accepted. But here's the impressive part. He didn't stop lighting the candles. He continued. July, August, September, October, November, December. In January of 2016, 12 months after the first ritual, Mark was promoted without asking. His salary doubled, and he received a partnership offer in a company the grace of abundance had multiplied. This isn't an exception, it's a pattern. Padre Pio said, "He who lights the 10 candles for 12 consecutive months never lacks grace, because from the 12th month onwards, the graces renew themselves." It's like compound interest, but spiritual. So here's the biggest secret. Don't do the ritual of the 10 candles just today. Do it every 10th for 12 months. And see what happens. There are 3 levels of depth in the ritual of the 10 candles. Most people stay at level 1, few reach level 2, very few reach level 3. Level 1, the beginner. You light the 10 candles once. On October 10th, you follow the protocol. You receive the graces in seed form. This is good. It's the beginning, but it's incomplete. Level 2, the monthly devotee. You light the 10 candles every month on the 10th. January, February, March. Every single month, you create a spiritual rhythm. The graces begin to multiply. You go from seed to tree. This is the level where most profound transformations happen. Level 3, the intercessor. You don't light the 10 candles just for yourself. You light them for others. On the 10th, you light your 10 personal candles. But then, you light 10 more candles and say the names of 10 people you love who are in need of grace. You become a channel, and when you're a channel, the graces flow through you infinitely. Padre Pio lived at level 3 for 50 years. He lit candles not just for himself, but for thousands of people who wrote asking for prayer. And the graces multiplied so much that he healed people at a distance, without even touching them. Do you want to reach level 3? Then start at level 1 today. Move to level 2 in the coming months. And when you feel you're ready, it could take 6 months, it could take 2 years, you move up to level 3. Don't rush, but don't stop either. I'm going to tell you a story that very few people know. It's about the last October of Padre Pio's life. It was October of 1967. Padre Pio was 80 years old. He was very sick. He could barely stand. The doctors knew he didn't have much time left. On October 10th, 1967, at 10 p.m. sharp, Padre Pio asked to be taken to the chapel. He could barely walk. 2 friars were holding him up. He knelt down with great difficulty and asked them to bring 10 candles. The friars were puzzled. "Father, you need to rest. We already prayed the rosary today." Padre Pio responded, "Bring the 10 candles. It's the last time." So they brought them. Padre Pio lit the 10 candles, one by one, his hands trembling. It took almost 10 minutes because he was so weak, but he did it. When he finished, he remained silent for 30 minutes, looking at the candles. He didn't pray out loud. He didn't say anything. He just looked. One of the friars who was there, Father Alessio, recorded in his diary, "Padre Pio was crying while looking at the candles, silent tears. I had never seen him cry like that." After 30 minutes, Padre Pio extinguished the candles, in reverse order as always. He stood up, blessed himself, and said, "It is done. Now I can go." No one understood what he meant, but exactly 11 months and 13 days later, on September 23rd, 1968, Padre Pio passed away. And here's the detail that will give you chills. October 10th, 1967 to September 23rd, 1968 is exactly 348 days. If you add 3 plus 4 plus 8, it equals 15, and 1 plus 5 plus 6. But if you divide 348 by 10, it equals 34.8, rounded up to 35. And 35 divided by 5, number of stigmata, equals 7, the number of completeness. Padre Pio knew those were his last 10 candles, and he lit them not to ask for anything for himself. He lit them to seal 50 years of intercession. And you know what happened on the day of his death. September 23rd, 1968, over 100,000 people smelled the fragrance of roses out of nowhere, in homes, in streets, in churches, all around the world, at the same time. That's the power of candles when lit at level 3. Before I give you the final protocol, I need to warn you about 5 mistakes that block the graces. Even if you do everything right, technically, these mistakes nullify the effect. Mistake number 1, lighting with doubt. If you light the candles thinking, "Does this really work?" you've already blocked 80% of the graces, because faith and doubt do not coexist. Either you believe or you test. God responds to faith, not to testing. Mistake number 2, lighting with resentment. If you have hatred in your heart for someone and you light the candles without first forgiving, at least internally, the graces will not enter, because resentment closes the heart, and a closed heart does not receive. Mistake number 3, lighting and gossiping. You light the candles on the 10th, everything perfect, but on the 11th, you gossip about someone, you judge. You speak ill of others, done. You leak the grace through your mouth. James 3:10 says, "Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. These things ought not so to be." Mistake number 4, lighting and giving up. You do the ritual. The 13th passes, the 14th passes, nothing visibly happened. You think it didn't work, and you give up. But the graces often arrive on the 15th, 16th, 20th, 30th. You need to wait with faith. Mistake number 5, lighting without continuing. This is the most common mistake. You light the 10 candles, but in the following 3 days, you don't pray, don't read the Bible, don't go to Mass, don't do anything. You planted, but you didn't water. And without watering, the seed dries up, Avoid these 5 mistakes and you guarantee that the graces will flow. So let's recap the complete protocol for you to do today. October 10th, at 10 p.m. sharp, light 10 candles. Sequence, left to right, 10th candle in the center last. Pause for 10 seconds between each candle, saying mentally, Father, I receive the grace of name. Leave the candles lit for at least 1 hour. When you extinguish them, first the 10th center, then from right to left. October 11th. Pray 13 Hail Marys at any time of the day. It can be in the morning, afternoon, or evening, but it has to be 13. No more, no less. October 12th. Do a complaint fast. Don't complain about anything all day. Not about the traffic, not about your boss, not about the weather, not about the food, nothing. This is the most difficult fast, but it's what purifies your mouth and heart to receive on the 13th. October 13th. If possible, go to Mass. If not, do 1 hour of prayer at home. Read Psalm 91 out loud and receive. Don't ask for anything more. Just be thankful. Because at this moment the 10 graces have already been released. You just need to open your hands. That's the protocol. Simple, powerful. Tested for over 100 years. 3 last things before you go light your candles. First, you don't need special candles. They can be simple white candles. They can be colored candles. They can be birthday candles if that's all you have. What matters is not the candle. It's the faith. Second, if you live with other people and they find it strange, don't argue. Just say, I'm saying a prayer. And that's it. You don't need to explain everything. Not everyone will understand, and that's okay. Third, after you complete the full protocol from the 10th to the 13th, come back to this video and leave a comment telling what happened. You don't need to give private details, but testify, because your testimony can ignite the faith of another person. Padre Pio used to say, faith multiplies when it is told. There's one last sign that I haven't told you about yet, and it's the rarest, but when it happens, you know that the 10 graces have been activated in fullness. It's the fragrance of roses. Padre Pio had a documented phenomenon that happened to him. When he was interceding deeply for someone, the people around him smelled roses, out of nowhere, even without any roses nearby. This has happened thousands of times during his life, and it continues to happen today with people who pray, asking for his intercession. But there's a specific moment where the scent of roses appears most frequently, between the 10th and the 16th, for people who light the 10 candles with true faith. Not everyone experiences it. Statistically, about 1 in 20 people report smelling the fragrance. But when it happens, it's unmistakable. Let me tell you about a recent case. On case 4, Teresa, Spain, 2022. Teresa was 42 years old. She was going through a divorce, 2 children, deep depression. She had lost her faith. She hadn't prayed in years, but her mother was devoted to Padre Pio and insisted that Teresa do the ritual of the 10 candles. Teresa agreed, but without faith. She did it to please her mother. On October 10th, 2022, at 10 p.m., Teresa lit the 10 candles in her bedroom, mechanically, without feeling anything. When she finished, she blew them out and went to sleep. On the 11th in the morning, Teresa woke up to a very strong smell of roses, so strong that she thought someone had put flowers in her room. She searched. Nothing. No roses, no flowers, no perfume. But the smell continued. She called her mother and told her. Her mother cried and said, "Daughter, it's Padre Pio. He's showing you that he heard you." Teresa still doubted it, but the smell of roses continued for 3 days. The 11th, the 12th, the 13th, every time she woke up, the smell was there. On the 13th, Teresa went to Mass for the first time in 8 years. She cried from beginning to end. She felt a peace that she hadn't felt since childhood. In the following months, the divorce was resolved peacefully. She got a job. The depression disappeared without medication. And to this day, every October 10th, Teresa lights the 10 candles. And every October 11th, she smells the scent of roses again. This is real, documented, witnessed. So, if you smell the scent of roses in the next 6 days, from the 10th to the 16th, know this: Padre Pio is interceding for you personally. Today is October 10th. 3 days remain until the 13th, the day when the heavens open. You have a window of spiritual opportunity that only happens once a year with this intensity. At 10 p.m. tonight, light 10 candles. Receive 10 graces. And in the next 3 days, cooperate with what God wants to do in you. Don't let this opportunity pass, because maybe today is the 10th that will change the next 348 days of your life. If this video touched you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and share with 10 people the number of graces who need to know this today. Because maybe you came across this video exactly so that they would too. And maybe one of those 10 people is the one who needs the 10 graces the most at this moment. I'm going to light my 10 candles tonight at 10 p.m. I'm going to pray for you who are watching. Because if you've made it this far, to the end of this video, it's not by chance. Padre Pio brought you here, and now he's waiting for you to light the candles. May the heavens open for you. May the 10 graces multiply. And may you receive the miracle you've been waiting for so long in 3 days, on the 13th. May Padre Pio intercede for all of us. Until the next video. And remember, 10 p.m., 10 candles, 10 graces. Amen.